point. Look. The last episode we recorded together, I was feeling good. Okay, we had first win of the season. I'm like, we got a couple of winnable games here, right? We got a couple of games you can sneak a couple wins in, and then I got, lucky for me, okay. I got married, just to bring y'all a little bit into
Congrats.
Thank you, by the way. I got married,
man.
Went on a honeymoon. When I came back,
in 31 years, you'll catch me.
Look at that. Look at that. Look, I decided, you know what? I said I'm going to go get married. I'm going to go take some time off, okay? I'm just going to take some time off. When I come back, the Panthers will be 500 or better at that point. That's what I thought.
I'm glad you enjoyed your wedding and your honeymoon.
That's about the only enjoyable part of the of those weekends it was. At least if you want to compare it to what the Panthers have been going through. But man, like now I'm at a point where I'm like, I don't even know what to say about this team right now. And to lose to the Bears in that fashion. It just burns. I got a little sunburn still lingering on, Jeff. I do. I got a little sunburn still lingering on. But, I mean, this is worse.
So, you changed Andy Dalton. We got the win against the Raiders. Everybody was like, hey, now the glass could be half full. And, I was at the Bengals game here in Charlotte. And even though they lost by, I think was it 18? I can't remember how many they lost by. But it was competitive. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were in it.
Yeah.
And they had some chances. Then came Chicago. And back to reality.
Yeah.
And now you're now listen, and people will say what they want. And I truly still believe that I don't know that Bryce Young is an NFL quarterback. Mm. But now you're at the point of the season you need to find out.
You need to find out.
You have to. And what got me was at the end of the game against the Bears, he put Bryce Young in.
Yeah.
And afterwards, Dave Canales actually said, I didn't want to get Andy hurt. Really? Not like, hey, it was a good opportunity for him to maybe get in and get some reps.
Yep.
And build on that.
Yep.
I think his thing was, I didn't want to get Andy hurt.
Yeah.
Like.
And now we're hurt.
And now you're hurting. And now the point is, if I'm Dave Canales and I'm the organization, I'm going back to Bryce and ride it out.
Yeah.
And because you have to see, right now listen. I always thought they were the worst team in football. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that's the case. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm looking at Jacksonville. I'm looking at Tennessee. I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm looking at, I mean, who else?
Who knows if New England's actually good?
Right. Well, and I mean, now that they've gone to, Drake May now, who will get the start. But, you're at that point now where you're probably going. I can't remember the rest of the schedule now, but I mean, listen, you got Atlanta coming to town.
Yeah.
Against a guy who put up 500 yards passing.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins. So back to that real quick. But yeah, we're at this point now where I think you have to start Bryce. You have to let him go and see what you got. Because if the season is gross and you could have the number one pick.
Yeah. So
now you're at a point where you can go get your, franchise quarterback if it's out there.
And that's the thing, if it's out there. I do want to welcome you guys into the Keep Prowling podcast. We get right into it over here, okay? I'm just going to let y'all know. We get right into it, just like the Game On podcast as well. We get on into it, okay? But I'm your host, DJ Beal, and I got Bell Sports Director Jeff Taylor helping me out today again.
Good to be here, man.
I mean, look, and like I said, the crazy part about it is the last time we talked, we were at a completely different place mentally, I think.
Sure.
With this team.
Absolutely.
Because it's like you finally get your win. You look good. That was
the thing about it.
You looked good doing it. And at that time, you're thinking there's a couple of games here where, Caleb Williams hasn't looked good. That offense hasn't looked good.
Right.
That running game hasn't looked good. This is the perfect opportunity to stack you a couple of wins.
Right.
Then you have Atlanta. You have Atlanta coming into Carolina, right?
Right.
You have Atlanta come in, and that's a big divisional game to just continue to turn the corner. You're trying to turn the corner,
right.
Early in the season. But now it's like, kind of like you said, the thought is, well, where are you as a team? What do you do? And, you made a valid point about Dave Canales saying, hey, don't want to get Andy hurt. Don't want we don't want Andy to be put in jeopardy. But at the same time, kind of like we talked about in the show before, how far can you go with Andy Dalton? You have to, I think, and you just said it, you have to put Bryce Young out there, and at worst, you see what you have in Bryce. At worst. Number one, you let him sit down for a couple weeks. You let him watch a veteran quarterback play. You let him watch a veteran quarterback prepare. You let him get back into the playbook. You showed him a couple of his mistakes.
Right.
He's
watched Andy for 2 weeks now.
Right. Even some of Andy's mistakes, but you also let him see his own mistakes.
Right.
Hey, this is what you were doing last year. This is what you're doing this year. This is what we need to tweak and change. Now, is Dave Canellis that coach yet? That's a whole other story to be said. And I don't like that comment because you don't have to throw anybody under the bus here. Right, I don't want to get Andy hurt. Don't say that.
No,
I just want to get Bryce some reps. He's a young guy. He's still learning.
And it just becomes, and I'm just going here to see if I can find. You may have it more than I do. But like, the thing that has scared me a little bit too is, and you may have it more than I do, is like, and it hasn't just been the offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the defense. You gave up 30+ points last week.
Yeah.
To Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams, who has, I mean, is there any worse game to let the Bears play their best game?
And what comes back to haunt you is DJ Moore has, I think 8 receptions, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
DJ Moore continues to prove that trade was horrible. I
mean, if you're a Panther fan, how can you just not, and I don't know how many they give up to, how many did they give up to Cincinnati? Do you remember how many points they gave up to Cincinnati? Was it 30 plus?
I'm trying to think too.
Either way, I'm just saying too. Like we could get on the offense as much as we want, and we can get Andy.
They gave up 34 against the Bengals team, who was struggling to begin with.
Right. So I mean, there's a lot more to fix, and what I don't. And Dave Canales, if you're listening to this, I apologize. Like I've listened to his press conferences now a lot, and been to some practices and listened to the interviews afterwards and stuff. Stop being so happy-go-lucky.
Mm-hmm.
He's smiling, good-looking guy. He's sitting there, hey, blah blah, this and get real, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jets just fired Robert Saleh. I mean,
they're only 2-3.
And they're 2 right.
They're only 2-3, and their quarterback's been hurt.
And you got an owner, in Dave Tepper, who fires head coaches like it's a bodily function.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being honest. I mean, there's got, get a little more fire into the belly of them, and and just, but you're at a point now where at 1-4, 1-4.
Yeah.
I'm saying the season's done. I'm just, you're not going to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Season's done.
Mm-hmm.
Play Bryce.
You started, 0-3?
Huh?
Right?
Yeah. Wait. 0-3, 1-3.
Yeah. You started 0-3, which is almost impossible to make the playoffs. Just
so they're 1-5.
That, yeah.
So they're 1-5, right?
No, 1-4.
1-4. So you started 0-3, then you beat Vegas to go 1-3, then you lost to the Bengals.
Yep.
1-4. So and then you lost to the Bears.
They 1-5. They might be 1.
I
might be right.
I wish I knew. I don't even know anymore.
I hate to make it worse by.
Well, the Titans are 1-3 and they had a bye.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the Jets are 2-3.
Yeah.
But did they have? Anyway, either way, it's. I don't know now that if we were to go back now, DJ, and look at the games from here on out, is there a winnable game?
I think there's always winnable games. I think the frustrating part is this team doesn't really have an identity, and when for a lot of teams your identity begins with the quarterback and the leadership under center, and not to mention you lose your center.
Yeah, now Austin now Austin Corbett gone.
I mean, it just goes from bad to worse, and it seems like the Panthers have a bug that they can't get rid of.
Right.
And I mean, going back to the original point of if your identity is fixated on your quarterback, but you don't even really know who your quarterback is.
Right.
And that could be said even if you just play Bryce alone, you don't know how good he is yet, right? That could be said based on the situation with Andy Dalton starting out playing well,
right.
playing okay,
right,
for the rest of the time, Bryce not playing well before, you don't know who your guy is. And you definitely don't know who your guy is for the future. And if you're already not playing well to begin with, what do you do? And I think, like, that begs the question. I want to hear from you all out there as well. Like, should they go back to Bryce? Because for me, I think you have to give him every opportunity to prove that he's not the guy.
Right. I mean, you got to play him. You got to figure out what you got.
And if that needs to be a Tepper, Canellis, Morgan meeting where they come together and they have that open conversation first, like, we believe Bryce is our guy. We want to see what Bryce has to offer. But at the same time, you have to be patient with this team.
Well, that to me that's still one guy. That's Dave Tepper. Mm-hmm. And let's be real, Bryce Young was Tepper's guy.
Yeah.
That was his move. That was his call. That was his decision.
Yeah.
Was to go after Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
So, go see what you got, have at it, and if he goes, and wins 5 or 6 ball games and gets the offense moving and can, you got to figure out something because, like you said, it's you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
But the scary part is, though, too, DJ, is like in the realm of things, and I don't know, it's so weird. And I talked about it last time we talked. Like, the quarterback play this year is horrible, in a majority of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes, got it.
Mm-hmm.
Jane Daniels makes everybody right now like, wow. I mean, that kid could be in the MVP talk right now. Literally could be in the MVP talk.
Yeah. There's not.
And
there's not many.
And I mean, Lamar's Lamar.
Yeah.
Lamar's going to run for 100 and throw for 150, whatever. I mean, Lamar's, that team.
Get it done.
That team's a little scary right now.
Yeah.
But listen. I'm having the same argument and thought process with the Tennessee Titans with Will Levis.
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph could probably go in there and get 8 or 9 wins, but you're not going to make the playoffs. You're going to be middle of the pack.
Is it worth it?
And is it worth it?
Yeah.
To me, if with Will Levis, let him play. If he makes bonehead moves and he's stupid and he's a moron and he can't get it done.
But why do you say that? And this is not for you, but the question is obviously for you, but also for you all out there to understand, because I'm curious to why you say Will Levis should still play. If you don't feel like he's playing well, but you feel like Mason Rudolph technically could give you a better chance right now, why would you say play Will Levis?
Because I don't think the Titans are good enough to go make a deep playoff run.
Okay. So really you're saying see what Will Levis has.
Right.
Give him every opportunity to show that he is the guy or he's not the guy, or at least has potential to be the guy.
Right.
And go from there.
The problem is we live in a
what have you done for me lately?
Right. And I mean, we want winning team. We want, and it's a two-edged sword for owners and coaches and everything else because you got to fill the stadiums.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you've got another 21 guys out there on offense and defense.
Yeah.
And 53 men on the roster, whatever it is, who are busting their hump.
Yeah.
Wanting to win. Division in the locker room.
Yep.
People yelling at each other. But at the end of the day, you gotta so it's like people right now are saying whether Anthony Richardson's hurt or not, do you play Joe Flacco the rest of the year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's here's the deal, and I'm to the point now is if Bryce Young, I think Will Levis is a different ball game than Bryce Young, because I don't know that Will hasn't had a whole season. Let's see what we got or whatever. But for me, Bryce, I'm like, if I'm David, it's like we either find out what we have.
Or trade him.
Or trade him.
Value.
Exactly. Yeah. Trade him. Listen, there are 4 teams right now who would be dying to have a quarterback.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, at least we're not the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
At least we're not the Cleveland Browns.
That's true.
Who has a quarterback walking off the field on 4th down and walks off the field.
And is locked into a guaranteed
$170+ million. Yeah. I mean, that's gross. But
the crazy part is too about the Browns also is they put talent around him. They found a way. Say what you want to about the contract.
They were in the playoffs last year with Joe Flacco.
Yeah, that's my guy.
I mean, he's coming to Tennessee this week. I don't know if Anthony Richardson will play or Joe Flacco. I'd rather have Richardson play it. But I think the Panthers are now at a point with Bryce Young. You have to play him, and you have to figure out what you got.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I think the concern is, once again, we talked about how much they've given up. We literally saw it firsthand how much they gave up.
Right.
You talking about Caleb Williams? You talking about DJ Moore? All in the same field at the same time. And I mean, there's. I wish I had the graphic that showed what exactly they gave up, like legit the players too, but I don't have it handy right now. But
because it was like 4 or 5 things, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, and some of them were picks, and some of them turned to Caleb Williams. Of course, DJ Moore was the big piece of that trade that you really probably didn't have to give up to do it, but you did. And imagine what this team could be with DJ Moore still on this team. But I think my concern is like you have to see what you have in Bryce Young. You gave up way too much in that trade to not at least exhaust every resource to show that Bryce Young. So because and the reason I say that is So it started out Bryce Young didn't have a great offensive line. He really didn't have any weapons. Defense was injured up, so they were okay. Honestly, they're worse this year than they were last year. But now at least you're at a point where you got weapons around him. Chuba Hubbard's been playing well. I don't know how much I trust the running game for the Panthers, but Chuba Hubbard's been playing well, and he deserves credit for that.
Absolutely. That 36-yard run was impressive on Sunday.
I mean, he's played well. So, I mean, you have some sort of running game, but you have to just throw him out there and let him go. Like,
yeah, but here's and it's hitting me too, and it just hit me while we were talking. And I want to put it all on Bryce Young, and is he good? Is he not good? Can he get the job done or whatever else? But is it also just you're at the end of the day you're just not a very good organization?
I think it could be.
And I go back and go like, I watched Marcus Mariota go through 3 head coaches, 4 offensive coordinators, in 4 years. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you expect somebody to be Tom Brady after that? Does that make sense? And now we look at the Panthers. They don't have a winning culture. And they haven't had it for a while. So my question is, and everybody's like, we got the wrong guy. What if C.J. Stroud was playing for the Panthers?
Yeah. How much difference would it make, really?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm getting at? I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, who knows?
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those questions where it's easy to say, like, well, Jaden Daniels is playing well, so, if he was here, then but it's not. I don't know I don't think the comparison is that easy to make.
Who's coach of the Commanders? Is it Dan Quinn?
I think you're right.
I think so, or whatever. But you've got an organization there with solid coaches and head coaches who've had experience and
new ownership that's not holding them back.
Right. That's true too, yeah. And every so often you're going to get that quarterback that's going to be, listen, we'll say the same thing. Hey, Jane Daniels, you're the man this year. Let all the defensive coordinators get a season under their belt and start planning for you.
Yeah.
Then we'll see.
And the other thing is, like,
Jalen Hurts isn't playing well this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Jalen
Hurts isn't playing well. Trevor Lawrence isn't playing well. Like,
name me 5 that are. Mm-hmm. We're not talking. Jared Goff. We're not talking.
Gardner Minshew just got benched.
But I can go through the.
Even Joe Burrow's not playing well. If we want to be honest.
No, absolutely not.
He had a good game last week.
Absolutely not. Right. But they fell back to reality this week and lost, right? Mm-hmm. You got Jameis playing this weekend, right? Is it for the Saints? No, who does Jameis play for?
Jameis is on.
Oh no, he's with the Browns.
Yeah, he is with the Browns.
Playing, baby. But Derek Carr's going down. No, Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
Is getting the start for the Saints.
Yeah, it's just.
I think, and I don't know where that comes from or whatever. You hate to say it, but 2 of the best quarterbacks right now probably are Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
true. Yeah.
I hate to say that anyway.
It's just interesting, man. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I think you have to see what Bryce has to offer.
Agree.
And you're not going to see that after a rookie season with a bad offensive line, with no running game, and a defense that gives up touchdowns in bad moments.
And here's the gist: you're 1-4, okay, or whatever we are, 1-win season so far. If I'm the offensive coordinator, if I'm Dave Cannell, Bryce, go out there and have fun.
Yeah.
Don't put any pressure on yourself.
Yep.
Don't worry about win or lose. Let's just go out and have some fun.
Yep.
Let's go out there and play ball and have fun.
I agree. I think,
you know what I'm getting at? Like, you got nothing to lose right now, so go out there, ball out, and have some fun.
And
don't put any pressure on yourself.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people were like, well, I didn't see anything impressive from Bryce when he came in for Andy, blah, blah, blah. It was garbage time, whatever. I mean, from what I saw, and I can't tell you I saw a whole lot, but from the plays that he didn't make, I mean, he looked better.
Yeah.
It looked better than what we saw before. Like,
I think the interesting part is it lends itself back to the question, though, is it the quarterback or is it the team?
Yeah.
Because basically you look like the Carolina Panthers that we've seen the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You're getting beat by 20 whatever. You've given up 30 points. You've only scored 10.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Bryce walks in there and goes, told you.
Yeah. I mean, even Cam couldn't save the team after, you're
right.
Cam came in this rough little patch.
I know.
He gave a little spark, and that was, that's what happens.
One game against Arizona or something.
Yeah. That's what happens when you join the team in the middle of the season too, and there's just unrest,
right. So, but I think you're at the point now you need to play him and see what you got.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Okay. So going into the game against Atlanta, Atlanta at Carolina this week. I think you got to find a way to slow Kirk Cousins down the way if he's riding any sort of momentum from last week, it's going to be trouble.
You like that?
Right.
You got a high-powered offense. My defense has shown me nothing, and I just don't see how our offense can. If you can make it a 14-7 ball game, okay. But if I don't know
if the defense is at
but
that point.
If you're going, if it's a race, and I don't see how they win. I don't.
I don't think the Panthers win. I think it's hard to say the Panthers are going to win another game with Andy Dalton in the center. I think they're going to have to go back to Bryce.
I'm assuming Andy's starting.
I mean, Canellis isn't shying away from not starting Bryce at least. I mean, he seems to be firm on sticking with Andy, even though,
if it's 28-0 or something at half, or something, you got to just come back and go, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But I don't see how it's. I hate to say it, but I don't think we can slow down that offense.
And there's talent all over the place on that offense too. That's the hard part about it. Like, even if we take out
Bijan Robinson,
if we take out the fact of the Panthers' offense just not being great right now,
right,
and maybe this is a tough spot to put Bryce back in.
Well, that would be true too. Yes,
that he's gonna have to play on the other side. Like, that's tough too. And they're usually a pretty consistent defense on top of that. So,
right.
Maybe you let Andy just dink and dunk his way to hopefully a win. I think it's gonna be tough too. I don't know if they win, especially considering I think the Falcons might be the best team in the division.
I think it's them or the Bucs right now.
Yeah, when they go head to head, I think we'll know. But definitely interesting. Another thing before we get into the picks for the week, I want to ask you about. I don't know if you saw the news, but Cam Newton joining ESPN is going to be a First Take regular. You got any thoughts on that?
Really?
Yeah, it just came out not long ago actually. I think it's good.
I think it's great.
I think Cam has
flamboyant.
He's made he's kind of made his name as
Absolutely.
a podcaster almost. He gives a level of realism that you kind of need in that space. And
I think it's awesome.
I think the other thing too, it kind of started with the whole I'm athlete type stuff, and where he was kind of talking to them. He was kind of bridging the gap almost as being friends on both sides. But as he started talking about more personal stuff, as he started talking about other things, more viral type stuff. I think he, especially when it comes to sports too, he has that level of realism that I think sometimes is missed on bigger networks.
Oh, agreed.
I think
agreed.
I think that level of authenticity that First Take in its infancy maybe had, right? You can maybe even say the Skip and Shannon show,
right?
When they first got going and everything, like
is that Undisputed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of those where it's like, I hope that he's able to just come in and be himself, and it seems like they have given more freedom, like more creative freedom to their talent as opposed to
sure,
players and producers. Now, albeit I don't love the topics that they talk about all the time. I don't love the takes that they try to push.
Well, they seem to stay on too many of the same teams and stuff like that.
Yeah, I tell you, they wear the trending topic of Lamar Jackson can't throw and isn't worth his contract out. I tell you, but that's neither here nor there. But
whether he can throw or not, he's got listen to me. I'm just going to say this right now. God bless Derrick Henry. He may be the greatest running back of all time.
I mean, there's.
I don't know of many running backs that, and I'm so happy for him. I mean, I miss him in Tennessee, and he did so many great things as a Titan. But that run in overtime the other day was vintage Derrick Henry. Yeah. And I don't know that I've ever seen a running back that people got to stop and go, whoa. And I mean, back to the days of running backs.
Yeah. And the thing about Derrick Henry is
he's laying the NFL rushing.
Yeah, and you can't count him out. You can't count him out. Like he didn't even have a good game.
Nope.
He just made the big run at the big time when you need him. And it's funny, like during the week they interviewed Jamar Chase and they were like, well, what do you think of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, that kind of combination? He's like, they're a cheat code. He's like, this ain't even fair at this point. They're cheating. And I'm like, it's true. You got to stop Lamar.
Listen.
You know that for a fact. And you got to stop Derrick Henry because he's a future Hall of Famer.
If he leads the NFL in rushing this year, and it's nowhere close to 2,000 yards, but if he leads the league in rushing, and no quarterback sets the world on fire, he's got to be in the MVP talk right now.
Just imagine the same team having Offensive Player of the Year and MVP. Oh, wouldn't that be crazy?
That would be nuts. And you could see it anyway. Yeah. So, we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw that out there. A little love for Derrick Henry.
It's crazy. Like,
it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think he was available, and a lot of people thought he was washed up. He was done. I mean, he's been the beacon of consistency when it comes to running the football in a league that don't even lean on running backs like that. Especially not a running back like him. He's not a receiving back.
He's a running back.
Yeah.
I always tell people he's a running back. Christian McCaffrey was never a running back. Christian McCaffrey is an athlete that you can move around. Yeah. Derrick Henry is a running back.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Plain and simple. What?
I think
CMC was not a running back.
I think it's a bridge of two different generations.
But of course, I'm 56, right?
You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it. Listen, I grew up with Earl Campbell.
Yeah.
I grew up.
I get it.
with those guys who you're going to give it to them 35 times. Derrick Henry can take the ball 35 times. Christian McCaffrey cannot take it 35 times.
That's true. And the reason I mention that is because Christian McCaffrey is like what NFL teams want a running back to be.
Absolutely.
Now. Derrick Henry is kind of, he's old school. He's 30, so he's older. Right. For running back standards. Right?
Absolutely.
So it's like,
but I agree.
You don't see it as much anymore.
Darren Sproles. You go back to Darren Sproles, and you look at Bijan Robinson. I mean, you look at all the guys now, and all of them. Pacheco. They're all.
Kamara, even you think about how much Kamara catches the ball. Like, Derrick Henry, like him catching the ball is like almost unheard of. And when he does. If he gets ahead of steam, still,
if it's a screen,
it's still dangerous. So definitely, definitely fun to watch for me. But let's jump into the picks for Thursday Night Football. We have at least San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks.
I think San Francisco is walking into a viper pit.
Okay.
I think Seattle, they've lost a couple. They need a win. It's an important game. I think Seattle figures out a way to get it done. It's going to be a close ball game. They can't get into a shootout. But I just think that but I'm a little concerned about Seattle's D. They haven't been as they're not the Legion of Boom anymore, but I just think I think San Francisco is walking into a spot that the more desperate team wins.
Yeah, I think with San Francisco and Seattle, it's an interesting matchup. Not only the divisional aspects of it, but just San Francisco is kind of that team that's been there, that's done that. You talking about a rookie head coach in Seattle, but a defensive-led rookie head coach. I think Seattle's going to get the upset. You know, I really feel like. I mean, I feel like they feel well coached for a guy who hasn't been there before.
Right. Well, and if you think about it, I mean, tell me what Brock Purdy's done this year. Hasn't set the world on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gotten wins, but still, like, so I agree with you. I think Seattle gets the win.
Okay. Jacksonville versus Chicago.
That's in London too, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's like a 9-8.
Yeah, it is a 9:31. Jacksonville would win this game because of just
it being in London and they're so used to it.
Yeah.
I'll pick Chicago. Listen. The Jags played well. They got to win. I'm still not buying them.
Okay. Yeah, I think just because of the circumstances, I'm going Jacksonville. I don't trust Jacksonville.
It's a home game for Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I mean, they've played there every year, and if you've never been across the pond to play there, they know the routines. They've gotten a plan down, and sometimes that helps somebody. But I'll go Chicago.
It's always interesting too to see how early teams get overseas to kind of like get themselves adjusted, get their bodies adjusted. I mean, it's crazy to just go on a trip and you're still recovering the next week. How do you, it's like, it's crazy to think they do this all the time. Like, I think, that's one of the things that I just kind of got to thinking about. It's like, it's crazy, like, for work, they're traveling and, putting their bodies on the line and stuff like that. And it's wild to think, like, they just have to adjust and still we just expect them to play just
go out there, play. 9 o'clock, go.
We can barely make it to work next week. But anyway, Washington at Baltimore.
Wow, Battle of the Beltway.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, Jaden Daniels is the man's playing insanely awesome. But you're walking into Baltimore, and rookie quarterback going into that place with that D and that offense.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about Jaden. I think Harbaugh is going to have his team ready to play.
I think this is usually when the Ravens tend to shut people up, is when they start to talk a little too much.
Right.
Now, like I said, I'm a little concerned in terms of the Ravens because the way their defense played last week, they couldn't stop anybody.
I know.
Now, we're talking about a ridiculously talented offense, regardless of how the Bengals play or how they play.
And you've got those weapons.
Those weapons, eventually it's going to come together. I think they put on an excellent defensive performance, and I think the offense continues to do what the offense has done.
I hope they do because I got Lamar and Derek on my fantasy team.
See, hey, I mean, as long as they keep going, you're
good.
As
I'm good.
Hey, you're good. Arizona at Green Bay.
Wow.
Jordan Love is back. He's getting back into his rhythm. Arizona, I felt like they looked pretty good last week too, though. So, I mean, maybe they're finding their rhythm.
Wow, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one. Do you really beat Green Bay at home, though?
No.
Yeah. So
I'll go Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm going to go Green Bay, too. I think Arizona's really good. I think they're going to continue to be really good. I hope to see an upset with them and the San Francisco 49ers later on in the season. That'd be a little bit that'd be fun. But I think Green Bay at home is always tough to beat. And, I mean, they're good. They're good at controlling the clock.
No, I agree.
They're very well coached. Time management seems to be good. They seem to know exactly what they need to get it done. So I'm going Green Bay. Houston at New England. Drake May, debut game. Might be a chance to shock the world here.
No.
Okay.
It could. Listen, New England's they play good D.
Yeah.
It's at home.
Yeah.
And Houston hasn't set the world on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, CJ's played okay.
Yeah.
He's had a couple
last
good
week
games.
Was pretty good, but that's about as
That's about as good as they played. Right. With Houston's D, I just don't see making your first start against a team like that.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening. As much as I'd love to see it, and I will pull for the Pats, I don't think they get the win.
I don't see it happening, but on the record, I'm saying the New England Patriots are winning this game. I'm saying it. I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Could it? Yes.
Upset. You got to pick at least
if that
one
was like a
upset
17-14 game.
Yeah. I think, possibly. We'll see. Tampa Bay at New Orleans.
Tampa Bay.
South matchup.
I just think that Tampa's just they're too veteran-led, and you got Spencer Rattler starting for the Saints.
I was going to ask, you think New Orleans kind of unraveling?
Yeah.
I mean, they just mentioned him?
Huh?
Is Derek Carr
I think he's hurt.
Yeah.
But, well, he's hurt. And for those who are listening, I did the air quotes. I mean, you're talking about a team that won their first 2 and now are 0-3 in their last 3 starts.
Yeah.
And Tampa's just Tampa. I think that Baker's playing great football. That offense is tough to stop, and their defense is solid. So, once again, I don't care if you're home or away. Spencer Rattler, welcome to the NFL.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the toughest part is the fact that you have a quarterback who ain't really seen a lot of action yet, if any.
Right.
And going against that Tampa Bay defense that is pretty consistent, about as consistent as they can get. And, like you said, Baker's playing well. Much to the chagrin of any Panthers fans out here, I'm going to go Tampa. The Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles. Is Deshaun Watson playing this week, or they mentioned him yet?
He's playing. I don't care. He could be the worst quarterback in the NFL.
He might be.
He might very well be the worst quarterback right now in the NFL.
He might be, but you see what they're doing? They paid him a lot of money. And they said, you know what, we got to at least see this through.
No, he's done.
You have to at least see this through.
See ya. When you walked off the field and walked by your coach, if I'm Kevin Stefanski, it's like, bye. You're done. I don't care. Yeah. If the owner goes, no, you will play him, that's a different ballgame. Yeah. If I'm the head coach, he doesn't see the field the rest of the season.
Yeah. I get it.
He's a nut job.
It's bad.
I shouldn't say nut job. Sorry.
It's rough.
It's rough.
It's rough. It's rough. I'm going Eagles too. I don't think the Eagles are great. I just think they're better than Cleveland.
Right. They're not setting the world on fire, but they're better than Cleveland. Yes.
Game very near and dear to your heart. Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans.
I wish Anthony Richardson was playing, and he might still. I don't know. They're without Michael Pittman. They could be without Jonathan Taylor.
This is one of those games Tennessee would sneak out, though.
Well, if Will Levis is starting, listen, they have all the capability of going out there and putting up points left and right. In their last game, they did put up 30-plus points for the first time in 1,000 some days, although it was the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
But it was a win. You get that win. You need it. Jeffrey Simmons is back on the defensive line. He was out for a game. So I just think – I don't think Tennessee is going to make playoffs or anything like that, but I think this is a game that they go out and they grind it out. It's an ugly, 17-14 game, and I think they get the win.
Okay. As you all out there are hitting the subscribe button and also letting us know your picks down below, my thoughts on this one, I think Tennessee sneaks it out. I really do.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I just if they're without Pittman and Joe Flacco is Joe Flacco. He's not going to run if they can put pressure on him. And listen, this is crazy, but overall rankings, the Titans are the number 1 defense in the NFL.
Okay,
that's crazy. They're first against the run, and they're 6th against the pass.
Yeah,
and they're in the top 10 in points. So they are statistically right now the number 1 defense in the NFL.
They're doing what they got to do.
So the kid Sweat up front, who's a man beast, and then Jeffrey Simmons back. If that defense is ready to play, and I think Will Levis though, it's another thing. Is he on a short leash, or do you let him play?
Yeah.
So, and see what you got. So I think they get a win, but it ain't going to be pretty football. Okay. I can promise you that.
The LA Chargers at the Denver Broncos start out the 4:00 games.
I don't know. Listen, Bo Nix is playing some ball. That defense is strong. You're going into Denver.
Yeah.
The Chargers haven't set the world on fire. I think Denver wins. I think Denver continues to find a way to get some wins.
I agree. I think they upset the Chargers. I think the Chargers have looked better than I expected with Jim Harbaugh coming back and just Justin Herbert finding himself. I know he's had his own little injury issues here and there, but I think Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix has a little coming out party.
I think he does.
I think so.
He's starting to get it together.
Pittsburgh at Vegas. This could be a 5-3 game.
Oh. Right now, I guess, is Justin Fields starting or is Russell Wilson starting?
I think it's Justin Fields until proven otherwise.
Yeah. Listen, the Steelers, tough loss against the Cowboys. The Cowboys scoring in the last 20 seconds in their last game. That defense is too strong for the Raiders to beat.
Okay. I think the Raiders could win this game. I think.
Who's quarterbacking? Aiden O'Connell?
Oh, no, never mind. Pittsburgh wins this game.
Yeah, it's not.
Thank you. Thank you for that reminder.
It's like Aiden O'Connell. I don't know who it is, but it ain't.
No, I think it is Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Pittsburgh wins this game. I think it could be one of those games. If Vegas is going to win, it'll have to be 5-3. Right?
Yeah.
They're going to have to be low scoring. Like,
3-2.
Like one
Bottom
of
of
those
the
defensive
ninth.
games. Yes, right. And then the last 4 o'clock game is Detroit at Dallas.
Ooh.
It's a tough one too, ain't it?
That's a Thanksgiving Day game. It should be.
Right.
It would be actually. No. Wow.
I think it's Detroit. I think Detroit's the better team.
I think Detroit's a better team. I think Jared Goff's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. I think Detroit's the better overall team.
Yeah.
And this is the type of game where, to me, the true Dak Prescott shows up where he chokes.
Okay. Yeah, I think Detroit. I just think they're the better team. I think Dallas
for this stage.
Yeah, and I think Dallas has been finding a way to get in their own way.
Right.
And sometimes it's cost them. Sometimes last week it didn't.
Right.
The week before it did, and I think they'll do it again. So the Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Giants Sunday Night Football. This is one of those weird games. Cincinnati would come lay an egg and lose.
I'm not even saying that Cincinnati comes and lay an egg.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Giants are capable of beating them.
Okay.
And I think the Giants will get the win.
Wow. Okay. I'm not as convinced. I think the Giants will.
I think Daniel Jones is playing some good ball.
But
I think that they play well. Cincinnati's defense is not good.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I think the Giants can win.
Okay. Monday Night Football to end us out. We got Buffalo at the New York Jets. New coach, New York Jets. They're gonna be feeling it.
No,
they're gonna be.
Buffalo wins. Buffalo beats them by 14.
I think Buffalo's gonna come in. They're gonna look pretty good. I think the Jets are gonna find a way. I think they're gonna be
The New York Jets,
inspired by the firing of
the
Robert
New York
Saleh,
Jets,
who was a good coach.
Everybody out there listen to me. The New York Jets got rid of the wrong guy.
No, I agree.
They should have gotten rid of the guy under center. Instead, they got rid of a coach.
Hear me out here. They could work together.
Who?
Rodgers and Saleh. They could have just worked together.
Right.
As grown adults here,
but you have a grown adult
and a child.
and a child. He needs to go hang out in his little pop tent in his room with his crystals or whatever. And if y'all guys don't know by now, I do not like Aaron Rodgers.
Are you sure?
He's not playing good football. He threw 3 interceptions.
Uh-huh.
And now here's the gist. Todd Downing is the offensive coordinator now. They took away the play calling from Nathaniel Hackett.
Mm-hmm.
So Todd Downing I know a lot about because he was the offensive coordinator last year in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Jets fans, you thought it was ugly? You've seen nothing yet. Because I don't care who's calling the plays now.
Mm-hmm.
That team belongs to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
End of story.
Sure. Yeah. And
you either get it done or you don't.
Yeah.
But right now, the New York Jets are run by Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And it's tough because I don't think Saleh deserved to get fired.
Absolutely not.
Considering one of his seasons was hampered by horrible injury.
Right.
Right? An injury on third play of the game.
Right.
Are you faulting him for that season? But then this season you're 2-3, so you're in position to still be better than what you were.
Right.
I don't get it. I mean, I think it probably was. I'm sure it was a bumping of egos. And
if you're gonna get rid of Robert Saleh, go call Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Go call Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
Go find somebody who's going to deal with.
But that's the thing. If Rodgers is really running this team, good luck.
Right. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. But maybe they could have. Maybe
he might call me because I don't know what I'm doing.
The Jets got rid of the wrong guy. And when they lose another 8 ball games this year, and they're arguing on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they'll beat the Bills by 40 probably.
I think it's hard because you're looking at a guy who's a future because it's easy from a fan perspective to say, like, Aaron Rodgers is a horrible person. Like, this guy is crazy. He's, out of his mind. Not a good leader. But, like, you're looking at a guy from an organization's perspective, right? Like that's the same thing with the Deshaun Watson effect over in Cleveland. It looks bad now, but you're talking about you finally get your elite quarterback. You hope you finally get a chance to go to the playoffs. You hope.
But you know what the difference was between Deshaun and Aaron Rodgers? And I need to go back and look, and maybe somebody out there can help us with this too. Even his last year in Green Bay was not good.
That's true.
He hasn't played good football in 4 years. Mm-hmm. Deshaun at least.
Has it been 4?
3, 4.
Because
last year was his first year with the Jets.
Yeah, so that's a wash.
And then the year before that, they didn't go to the playoffs.
Yeah, and then the year before that,
he was COVID, wasn't it?
Was he MVP? I think he was MVP the year before that. That was the back-to-back MVP seasons. I think.
The first.
I might be wrong.
Well, no, because the year that I think it was the year before that. I think he went from MVP to he won 2 MVPs, and then it was the year after that.
Okay.
Because Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards.
Yeah.
Not that I'm bitter. They gave it to a quarterback that threw whatever and had okay numbers.
I'm bitter. I'm bitter.
I mean, 2,000 yards. You get a running back running for 2,000 yards, and you don't give him MVP.
I was bitter before he was a Raven.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, okay, but you know, so like, listen, the only here. Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, since they have left their respective teams, have done nothing but hurt their image in the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, they just, like, okay, I got Russell Wilson on my team. Yeah, you think we're going to win ball games?
And, I mean, you could say that Aaron Rodgers was hurting his image on the way out.
Absolutely. No, the way he tried. You don't think he treated him and Jordan Love?
I mean, he tried his best to get. He tried his best to get out as soon as possible.
I know.
And it's interesting, you know, it comes full circle, right? I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is a little bitter at Brett Favre for the way he was treated when he came in, right?
Well, that's true.
You know, so like you treat people the way you've been treated before.
Yeah. Well, that's true. He didn't have the best teacher.
Yeah, so I think there's probably a little bit of that.
Yeah,
Not that that's an excuse.
No.
Right? You're your own person. You're your own man.
But you know what I'm getting at, though? I mean, like, people used to think highly of Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And now people are like,
Yeah.
I mean, if I was, if I'm Amy Adams Strunk, the owner of the Titans, I would not touch Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I wouldn't trade a 7th round pick.
What about before the Achilles injury?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I don't blame you.
I just no.
I don't know because I feel like in the Titans' perspective,
and I know they talked to him.
Yeah.
I mean, they did talk to him.
From the Titans' perspective, if we're talking pre-Will Levis, we're at the top of the draft.
Oh.
I'd have to think about it.
Well, if you're thinking, you know, you got, you know, with the team back that you had too.
Yeah.
With Derrick Henry and Aaron Rodgers and
Derrick Henry would help because it takes pressure
off
off
absolutely.
Aaron Rodgers.
And you had A.J. Brown.
You don't think about it.
I mean,
I would think about it.
Yeah,
I know you would.
I know.
I would think about it. But, I mean, I have to put myself in the perspective of, like, the Titans, for example, right? Because
that could have gotten them over the hump.
Yeah.
That might have said, okay, we because Ryan Tannehill wasn't.
Now that you know, now that you have said that, would you still say no? Like, let's just say that gets them into the playoffs. Let's just say who knows what happens after that. But if that gets them into the playoffs, would you take that chance, or you're like, still no? I'd rather not hurt the future of my team getting Aaron Rodgers. Not hurt the confidence of some of these other young players around.
Yeah, I mean, got us to a Super Bowl and won.
I think that changes a lot of things.
I mean, I think any fan would go, if you can get me a Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
And we've never won a Super Bowl.
I'll hate you after.
Yeah, I'll hate you after, right. But if you all of a sudden go, hey, I mean.
I get it.
You know, Ben Roethlisberger wasn't the greatest guy in the world, but he won Super Bowls.
That's true.
You know, he won a Boy Scout.
That's true, yeah.
So.
But definitely appreciate you for coming by, Jeff.
Hey, as always.
Always a good time.
Always fun, man.
Always a good time. We'll see you guys on the next episode of the Keep Prowling podcast. And remember, you can always check this guy out on the Game On podcast, on the Blitz as well.
The Blitz Friday night.
You know, all on Bahakel Sports. We got our own little network going on over here. Okay, we got our own little thing going. All right, so be sure to check us out. We'll see you guys on the next episode of the Keep Prowling Podcast. Are there any Panthers topics that you want to hear us talk about? Let us know in the comments below.